Hello, everybody, and welcome to CSCI Live.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Welcome to
Have
another
we all
week.
been self-sabotaging good lately?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, actually, I have.
Good to hear. How have you been self-sabotaging, Jen?
Well, we had a significant amount of time where the office was closed, and I had a lot of time that could have been used very productively, and I just rested. And I realized, you know what, I must have really needed that.
Yeah.
Or I was avoiding and self-sabotaging. We'll never know.
Well,
Resting is productive. You never know.
until you're self-sabotaging.
I am going to choose to believe that it was productive rest, because any other way of thinking about it is not going to help. It doesn't make sense to think of it any other way.
I choose to think of it otherwise.
Okay.
In your particular situation, not in general.
How should I think of it that would be more useful
You
than
should
that?
be ashamed. You should choose to do better next time you have a good amount of off time.
Yeah,
You know who you asked, right?
Those are options. I don't think that I will do anything productive if I feel ashamed over that.
Okay, well, no more holidays then for the entire office staff. If we're just gonna rest and be lazy the whole time,
I was
we're done with
productive.
it.
I was
Nice.
productive. I had to clean out my pantry.
We're trying to figure out who has self-sabotaged lately, though.
Not me,
who
not
has
that.
been misproductive. But this week we're talking about. Last week we talked about blind spots. I was looking at last week. This week we're talking about why you overthink everything.
But you skipped something.
Be sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, and interact with us on Facebook and YouTube. We will be answering comments and addressing your specific questions.
You're kind of quiet, Anthony. Like, I know it's like the only time I've ever said that, but you're kind of quiet. And now you're loud.
Keep getting.
Ooh, now it's loud.
I'm gonna turn up the gain just a little bit. How is this?
Loud.
Good. Very
How's
good.
this?
That's better.
Okay, we'll keep it there. As I was saying quietly, be sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, and interact with us on Facebook and YouTube lands. We love interacting with the people who watch the videos and answering their questions. Was that it? Did I do it? Yes, Brooke is. See, I didn't overthink it. I just went with an introduction. That's not what I get. That's what I get for not overthinking.
Is that your first time?
Yep. But yeah, we are talking about overthinking and is it okay? I think the assumption is it's not okay and it is a form of self-sabotage. But what is overthinking?
What definition are we going to be using is the question.
That was the question I just posited. So if somebody could please answer that instead of overthinking about it too much.
Do you want just our definition, or do you want
anytime I ask a definition, it's
Okay,
your
fine.
guys' definition. I will never ask for like the encyclopedia definition or the Wikipedia definition because that's boring.
Well, I kind of have two definitions in the sense of where it's sabotage, like the overthinking where it's unproductive, but then I have the overthinking where it is productive, where it contributes to the, I guess you would say, growth, versus the one that I'm calling negative is rumination. It's just, the same thing going round and round.
Just sort of stewing in your own thoughts.
Yeah.
I definitely have unproductive, but when I'm unproductive overthinking, it definitely feels a little more like mania, like a little more like where it becomes the dominant thing in my head over everything else. that's going on, essentially. Like, I can think of a situation recently where like a conversation sent me into a panic, and then everything I did for the next like hour and a half was dwarfed by that thought. So I was just sort of like autopiloting through life. I was going in to get my nails done, but the whole time I was like fighting back tears, thinking and ruminating and circling around and thought. It wasn't necessarily productive. But where it becomes almost, it feels like I'm a little out of control of my thought processes. It'll happen at night too. Sometimes. Like to me, there's a stress like where it's
You
like,
sound like you're cutting out a little bit, Brooke, or you're like far from the mic.
oh,
Yeah.
for me, it also feels like there's like a stress attached to it, where like it just like goes. Anthony is having the same thing of the volumes going in and out. I was feeling, so I'm wondering if it's a matter of like, I don't know.
It got better. I think we're just too far for microphones. My microphone setup changed so that it was farther. Now I have to move it closer. And when you moved yours closer, it sounded perfect.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Let's not overthink it too much, though.
Okay.
I agree with you, Brooke. For me, it feels like when overthinking takes up too much bandwidth. Like I only have a certain amount of brain processing power that I can have in one day, and when you overthink, it's like that thought is taking up 80 to 90% of your brain processing, where you would rather think about other things, but it's just occupied by that one task.
So like, I know, Anthony, you don't like flying very much. Are you overthinking before you get on a plane? Is that an overthinking thing? Or are you just thinking about all the things that could go wrong, like a bunch of things that are out of your control, essentially?
Yeah, I'd say that's an overthinking moment. Like, 'cause there's nothing really to be done. I can't fly the plane myself, which is the issue really at hand. Is that I don't have control over the situation really one way or another. But you just think about it, and you try to distract yourself. So the way I distract myself is through listening to podcasts or audiobooks or putting in headphones and the sleep mask so I can't see anything. Is just taking the attention away onto something else.
But so what happens when you hit turbulence?
I'm fine with turbulence. I have no problem with turbulence, in my opinion. It's like kind of just going over bumps. It's the taking off and the landing that are the problems. And I'll tell you why it's the problem. Let me overthink it a little bit. Is because the most accidents happen during that like first 15 minutes and last 15 minutes of a flight. So that's always like the time where I'm most overthinking. And then I think about those things. But
you still fly. So you can't be overthinking that much.
And I'm going to tell you my little secret. For if any of you are overthinking,
please
about
don't say
anything,
drugs.
It's taking Xanax that's prescribed by your doctor. As prescribed by your doctor.
Well, hold on, Anthony. I used to use your method to fly, and I don't anymore. So how did I do it?
How did you do it?
I didn't ask that question.
I'm just saying your recommendation is not like a cure-all.
Brooke is the one who offered up my phobia for the whole world to analyze, and we're asking about what I do and my recommendation. So my recommendation is to take drugs in any amounts that's prescribed to whoever. There you go. There's my off the cuff.
I will say at night, if I'm like doing my crazy thing, on occasion I will take a little, like half of a Xanax just to get my mind to shut off, because I get stuck in cycles and I can't get out of them. And if it's during the day, it's one thing, but if I'm supposed to be sleeping and I have things to do the next day,
Now
This is the wrong topic.
Yeah, we are literally
You're the ones
talking
who
about
asked.
prescription medication at this point.
you're the ones who asked. Now
We're off the rails only 10 minutes in.
I will be the one to bat it back to you, Jen. How did you get past that discomfort with flying and overthinking?
I allowed myself to overthink, and I decided to think that that was normal and that nothing had gone wrong, and I don't fight it. I just allow it. And so as I'm getting to the airport, I'm already like, oh, thinking about all these things that could go wrong. As I'm going through security, I'm literally looking around, thinking about all these. I mean, I just do it. I've just surrendered to the fact that that's part of my flying experience.
Thank you for the disclaimer.
Right, disclaimer.
And yes, that is why. And I mean, yeah, that is. It used to be so bad that it would kind of eventually boil into like I would be in full blown panic on the plane. But I just decided. I know it sounds so cliche, but I literally just decided that I didn't want to keep taking Xanax to fly, and that I was going to figure out a way to do it. And I did. And really, it's just a matter of like accepting that as my experience instead of fighting it and trying to change it. It's like, yeah, I'm going to fly. I'm going to think all this crazy stuff. Someone's going to go into the bathroom and I'm going to be like, does this person have a bomb? Like, I literally think crazy stuff like that.
I don't think that kind of stuff.
And that's just it. That's just like, that's just what happens. And I just go, okay, yep, okay. I see you. I see you creating this crazy story about what's going to happen. Yep. Okay. You're good. You're safe. Like, I don't know. I just kind of I coach myself through the flying. What do you know?
Be sure to check out our live that we did maybe a year ago on coaching. Okay, so those are specific examples of overthinking. More generally speaking, what are the signs in any situation, not just flying, but in any situation that you might be overthinking?
I happen to have a list right here.
Well, too bad Jerome was speaking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nope, that's probably at the top of Brooke's list is difficulty concentrating. I know that's a big one.
I do. Difficulty concentrating is absolutely one.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're right.
What else?
Fixating on worst case scenarios. Flying folks.
Yep, I'm aware.
Focusing on negative thoughts. Thinking intrusive thoughts. Intrusive thoughts are simultaneously fun and disturbing. There is like a reason we do it. Like I just read an article on this recently. What is an intrusive thought? Does everybody know what intrusive thoughts are?
Does this guy have a bomb and is he going in the bathroom to deploy it? That's an
That
intrusive
is a
thought for me.
very specific intrusive thought.
Yes. And it's like, standing on the edge of a cliff and being like, I could jump off this cliff. I could totally jump off.
For sure.
I might just jump off and jump to my death. And like everybody does that. Like that is built into our human nature for us to do that, or you're running with a pair of scissors and you picture yourself falling and the scissors impaling you through your eyeball. Like these are normal things that every human being thinks. And it's so that we can prepare ourselves like subconsciously for the worst case scenario. And that's the reason we do that. Not because we actually want to jump off a cliff and kill ourselves. It's because we subconsciously are preparing ourselves for worst case scenarios, essentially running through our heads and sort of just running it through. And that's a very normal human process. But I think when we have them and fixate on them, I would say it's more than just thinking intrusive thoughts, but fixating on intrusive thoughts. Missing deadlines is another one. I mean, how might overthinking cause you to miss a deadline? It's pretty
By not
obvious.
completing anything, right?
Procrastinating.
Yeah.
Yes.
By it never being good enough because you're overthinking every little step of the way and therefore you cannot complete it.
The inability to relax or being worried or anxious about the thought probably wouldn't. If you were able to relax and think about whatever it was you're thinking about as much as you were, you probably wouldn't label it overthinking.
Overthinking.
You'd just call it thinking.
Or
Yeah.
creativity.
Yeah, you call it creativity or thinking or just daydreaming.
No, it's exhausting. I think there is a feeling of like being tired that comes from that level of overthinking. Like it's not like you're physically taxing yourself, but you are mentally and emotionally taxing yourselves, I would say.
I'm gonna use that creativity one next time I'm on the plane and I think something crazy. I'm gonna be like, look
Creatively-
at you being all
Look how creative
creative.
you are.
Creatively thinking how Bowen is, you know,
This is gonna turn
Sending
into
up all
Jen
these
writing
airplanes.
like Jen writing fiction short stories.
about your anxieties.
Needing reassurance from others.
Hmm.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
I have visited all of these so far.
I
Second
don't like
guessing.
reassurance.
Second guessing yourself. And struggling to make decisions are all signs of overthinking here. I will at times struggle to make decisions, but then, you know, we had a moment where, you know, everybody's trying to be nice and we were like, we went to this, we were trying to get food and there's a whole bunch of people there.
Okay,
and,
I was
like,
thinking of the same exact situation. That just
Is that what you
and
it's
nobody wants to
driving me
make
crazy.
nobody wants to make a
This-
decision.
this
Everybody's
week-
trying to be nice and like,
Oh, gosh.
I offered 3 decisions and nobody went for it. So
I
Oh, that's
offered-
the worst.
And then they finally narrowed it down. They said chicken or a salad place. And I said, oh, well, I would love, or no, I narrowed it down to chicken or a salad place. They gave us like 6 options. And I said, well, how about the chicken or the salad place? And then everybody just ignored me. It was like I didn't speak. It was if words never came out of my mouth. So
Oh my
clearly,
gosh.
chicken and the salad place were not actually options. Like,
yeah.
So how did you decide? How did that end?
somebody just finally just said,
Just
we're
said
going to
pho.
pho.
Executive decision.
I tried. I really did.
Which is the worst decision in hot, sweaty weather to get hot, sweaty food.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not fun time at all. It's
No,
the opposite.
unfo time.
Mhm.
What were we
I will
talking
also
about?
overthinking, and it's funny because it says overthinking can trigger or extend a depressive episode or like emotional episodes, and I think that is absolutely true. I have tools that I utilize to help me overthink, but sometimes they just do not work. They really don't. It's always at night that I can't seem to get them to work. During the day, I can maneuver through them. It's the nighttime where it becomes really hazardous for me.
Kind of hard to distract yourself when it's
Yeah.
When there's nothing to distract
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Mhm. It's just you
Real
and your
hard.
thoughts in your bed. It's pretty hard.
Yeah, that can be a very scary place.
During the day, I know it's pretty. You go to the gym or something like that. Take a walk. It's really easy to kind of get those.
Talk to
thoughts out.
somebody, you know,
Yeah.
like in my bed, like I have a no screens rule, like when like in bed and lights are off, because like I want my body to know that it's time to sleep. So like that makes it even harder because I'm like I can't like just turn on the TV and distract myself or turn on my phone to distract myself because then I'm gonna mess up my circadian rhythms and
Then your brain is like, you're gonna die one day. You should think about that.
Yeah, God, no. I have to fall asleep with a comedy on. There's no other option. I have to hear something other than my thoughts.
I'll put some white noise in the background or focus on my breathing.
So it looks like we all have ways of dealing with overthinking, but none of us have ever solved it.
Overthinking.
None of us have ever
Yeah.
just eliminated overthinking. We just use different methods to.
But
work.
is
It's
it
funny.
even solvable or is it just part of being human?
I think it's
It's-
probably. I've known
one
some
study
people who
found-
just don't have
Yeah.
any thoughts going through their head.
How is that possible?
I've met people like that. Well, at least it seems that way.
It blows
They
my
It
just-
mind.
can't be. It can't
Don't
be that
think
way.
I've had
Yeah.
other people talk to me about this where they go, no, it's just like a quiet, like just quiet up to, I'm like, who are you? What is wrong? Like how? how
But these
do you
same
shut your
people,
brain
like the same people I've met who are like that, they just don't think of things ever. They're just they're
Like just-
whatever. Like you can't have an in-depth conversation with them because there's just nothing. There's no depth. There's nothing going on behind the
Yeah, but
screen.
they could have a very active inner world that they just choose not to share.
Yes.
Right?
They're doing a really good job of not sharing.
I'm
And
trying
from
to
what
get-
I could tell from questioning them, it seems like they don't have any problems with overthinking. Just happy and content with who they are, and I am jealous of that.
what is that person who I really like, and I can't think of his name at the moment. To save my life, I don't know.
Anthony Lopez.
Tony
Of
Robbins.
course.
Oh,
No, God, what is his name? And when anyway, I will just.
What
find
is
it.
he, Lisa? Is he a coach? Is he a therapist? Is he a doctor? Like what
Kind
is
of a
he?
guru guy that I quote now and again, and we quote his stuff.
The guy with the funny name.
Yeah, Eckhart Tolle. There it is.
Yeah, that
Thank you.
Oh,
He I don't think overthinks. I think he's learned and trained himself to not overthink. He just observes those bits of it. I don't understand that.
Well-
I like his stuff, but I never understood that. I just observe those.
So I can meditate.
Hmm.
So mind you, I'm quite good at meditating. Like I like there are some people that are not capable of meditation, but I can quietly meditate. And I have and I can but I've like taught myself to do that. And it's because I go in like when I close my eyes, I have a rich like visual world. So like if thoughts come up, I was taught to place the thought in a basket, essentially. So I picture the thought going into a basket and I sit it there in the basket and I go, I'll deal with it later. And then I let it like flow away. Cause like when I'm meditating, like it feels like everything's kind of flowing. And so like I put it in the basket and then it flows away. And I'm able to do that when I'm in like a meditative state and like let it go and, and let it go. And I can totally meditate. When I do that though, I'm getting really very much internalizing into I guess specific feelings in my body, specific like it's like I get hyper focused on things that are not my thoughts, I guess. And that really works for me. I have to meditate because of doing free diving and holding your breath and
right.
learning tricks like ways like it's when you're doing breath holds, it's one of the most uncomfortable and can be scary and panic inducing. Just on land, right? You're not going to die on land because all you have to do is inhale, or exhale and inhale. But you still your body goes through all these things, and you have to you train your body to be like, chill out, bro. Like, one of the breath hold coaches that I have taken, watched few videos and done like a class or two with. He like when he starts to get contractions, he like pictures all of these tiny versions of himself starting to freak out, and he like in his head grabs them and slaps them and is like, "Calm down, man!" And like has this like, and it makes it kind of funny and takes the panic out. So like, just yeah. But I can meditate, but that's for me is. I've tried meditating when I'm in like a panicked overthinking process, like. And it still is not the best because it's too late at that point for me, I think. Like, I feel like at that point, there's too many hormones that have been released and I have to like process the chemicals and the hormones in my body before I can get back to like a regulated and calm existence for myself.
Though I think in general, from what the reading and studies have shown, is that meditating in general is just a good skill to have to at least manage and then, hopefully eliminate some of the overthinking or being really adept at, just stopping the overthinking process as it happens. But it's like a muscle. You have to be good at meditating. You have to work at it to allow the thoughts to just sort of empty out. And then you get a whole bunch of other benefits from meditating. But that's the one that I see pop up most often in like these sorts of writings on overthinking.
Yeah, I've heard that before, people say that nobody's just good at meditating. Everyone who's good at it has practiced it, has built the muscle to be able to do it that way. No one just can do it. That's not how it works. It's a gradual build into a practice.
I've definitely practiced a lot.
I took a
Yeah.
neurofeedback class and could see we partnered up, and so I'm meditating. My partner was she was meditating. You can actually see the graph through that meditation, so it's kind of cool too. What are you gonna say, Brooke?
Well, I think part of it for me too is with meditation is giving, like, which is akin to calming down the thoughts, is giving myself permission to make space for that. Because, like, I think what's prevented me most and allowed, like, intrusive thoughts, or, those I should be doing this, I should be doing that, this is saying, no, this is important too. And so, like, that allows me to take those thoughts and place them away because I'm prioritizing the meditation in that moment. I think one of the problems with overthinking is, if I'm trying to solve my overthinking with meditation, is that I have now made whatever I'm overthinking about the priority in my head, right? It has become priority, like the most important thing. And nothing else is going to solve that for me. Meditation is not going to suddenly become more important than whatever that most important thing is. Because for me, it's always like a solution thing. So, like, I have to solve this problem.
Yeah, that I think that becomes now the difference between overthinking and problem solving. Where when you're overthinking, you're not in problem solving mode. You're just thinking about what you wish could be different, or what could go wrong, or all the bad things. When you switch to problem solving mode, there's now an objective to complete, a problem to solve, and you can think about the ways in which you solve that problem, and you can go about that in a rigorous manner or a not so rigorous manner. But the most rigorous manner I could think of, it would be coaching. I'm working with a coach. I have a problem. I want to solve it. Let's make a plan to solve it, and I will work towards solving it until the next time we meet. That is, we've just gone past overthinking now, and we're just problem solving.
Well, and that's that piece. Like, what do I have control of becomes important.
Yeah.
Like, what can I do? What can I, like? Because I think the big part of overthinking is, for me at least, is the first question for myself in that state is, what do I have control of? What can I do? What am I capable of? What is in my realm of capability, as it were? And then a lot of times what helps me get out of it is solving those things, or whatever it might be. It might also sometimes be just like saying something out loud. I'm scared to say out loud. That helps with overthinking.
Journaling, for me, a lot of the times, at its worst, is helpful.
Yeah. I haven't journaled in a while, though.
What do you think are some of the things that coaches tend to overthink about?
Oh, God.
Oh, goodness.
Especially new coaches, is if they're doing it right. Yeah. They want the right question, the perfect question.
What were you saying,
marketing? We had actually a marketing question in our alumni chat today. So I know marketing is one that definitely I see often happens with new coaches, overthinking how they're going to brand themselves and exactly what platforms they're going to use.
Down to paralyzation.
Overthinking the website, the logo. I mean, all of it. Just spinning your wheels on one thing that really doesn't make or break your business.
I think you just need to get in the habit of doing it. Like it, I almost want to say, which I know there's going to be stipulations, and Brooke will probably disagree a little bit, but like you just need to start doing something. You need to just start, putting pedal to the metal, getting the ball rolling, in whatever direction, you'll figure out later on, what is working, what's not working, where you need to redirect that energy. But if you're just overthinking and constantly worrying about like, oh, should I post here? Should I post there? Should I have a website built? Should I build it myself? Where should I build my website?
Yeah.
There's so many things to overthink about and worry about that you'll just never get started at all, ever.
And you're overthinking with no evidence, based on no evidence. So you've got to start building that evidence by just putting things out there, starting here, starting there.
Right.
then-
So it's almost better to pick something, like make a decision. Okay, I'm going to build my website on Wix, and then learn from that. If that doesn't work out, at least now you've narrowed it down and you know that you need to try something different. And if that works out, hey, great, cross that off your list. Next.
Or like overthinking about what school to go to get certified. Like just go with the one that's the shortest
think too
amount of
hard.
time. That's the, cost the least amount of money, but still ICF accredited. Like
It's true
Certified
though.
Life Coach Institute.
We are the most efficient on the market that is ICF accredited for time and money. That is
All right,
true.
that's our little plug-in. Don't think, take our class. Anyways, Brooke, did you mention earlier like they overthink about like in the coaching session, like what's the best question to ask?
Yeah, Lisa mentioned that.
Oh, Lisa.
Which guys, if you're a coach and you're overthinking that, it means you're not listening to your client. So maybe instead of the moment you hear that thought creep into your head, the response should be listen. No, it doesn't. Just listen. Like, right? Listen.
I don't know if that's a quality that's strictly limited to like coaches though. I think it's just maybe like a social anxiety thing. I think a lot of people overthink social interactions or conversations the conversation's happening.
I still get social anxiety. Like I still get, I will have moments where I get like, I hope they liked me. I hope I said that right. I hope I, which is funny, like it's interesting. But that's because I care, right? I care about whoever that is that I'm interacting with. If I want to remove that concern, I just have to stop caring about, right? Like about
Coaches, stop caring about your clients. Stop giving a damn. I mean, that's not really bad advice. I'm saying it tongue in cheek, but like the less you care about your clients,
it's attachment. The less you're attached.
Yeah.
It's not about care.
Mhm.
It's about not being attached to what the client.
A better way of putting it, yes. Be less attached to your clients and the outcome of, I guess, your interpersonal relationship between yourself and your client. Care about the coaching session, absolutely. But don't really care about what they think of you as a coach as you're coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we've got an article like that somewhere.
Oh, we do. We have lots of stuff about
You have
that.
lots of articles.
Back in the day when I started, I definitely was in that seat, just like all our coaches. And one of the things that I learned at the end of the session, like we all do, is, what is your takeaway? Asking that question. And I learned so much from my clients that I overthought the whole thing about how I was coaching and what was going on in there. And I'm like, there's times that I went, oh God, I did a terrible job. And then all of a sudden they started spouting all of these things that they're taking away. And I'm like, oh my goodness, talk about over negative thinking in that process. Just close that down. So I think the cool thing is while we're coaching our clients for their finding their best answer or direction, I too am learning. I'm learning in that space of being able to, I call it the committee, to shut that committee down, to that overthinking space and provide neutrality in a way that when I began, was a real effort, where it's less of an effort now.
Yeah, I almost think that what we were talking about earlier with meditation and how, it's like a muscle and you have to practice. To me, that feels like very similar to coaching, because in the beginning for me, I mean, it was just, I knew I was going to overthink. I knew that I was going to have intrusive thoughts, and I knew that I was going to worry. Was I good enough? Did I coach well enough? Did I provide enough value? Is this person satisfied? I just almost, again, like surrendered to like, yep, all that's going to be here. But then it has dissipated. So in year one, that was present for me. In year two, it was like, it wasn't, I mean, yes, every now and then, don't get me wrong, it can show up, but it wasn't chronic. It wasn't debilitating. It wasn't, part of every coaching session. And I mean, to me, it was the practice. It was the actual act of coaching that stretched that for me and gave me more space to just be.
Yeah.
I lost Brooke.
Brooke's gone. She overthought herself to death. So yeah, those are some of the ways in which coaches specifically tend to overthink. Clients.
I have a question. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Go on.
I wanted to bring this to how can we, as coaches, how might we identify our clients overthinking, that our clients are overthinking? How might that show up in a coaching session?
I think revisiting a topic that was already addressed. In a way, as you're the coach, you're asking questions, you're moving the conversation along, and they keep coming back to a topic. But not in a way in which is like, this is what I want to be coached on. More so, this is a block that keeps coming up in what it is they're being coached on. And that could be across coaching sessions as well, not just in the coaching session, but they might even just tell you, I'm overthinking about this. I'm worried. I'm constantly worried about X, Y, and Z. That could be one indication of overthinking. I don't want to necessarily assume that my client is overthinking without me telling them as well. Like, I don't want to put my label on, oh, you're overthinking this. Because then that's almost like sounding like a judgment, which we don't want to do.
It is, yes.
And it sounds like you're not giving that thought its due, value, because it's important enough to your client that they're thinking about it.
So
don't immediately write it off as, well, you're overthinking.
So what possible kinds of questions could you ask in that kind of space?
Why are you overthinking this?
No, that is a terrible question.
Well, so like if I look at the list of signs of overthinking, difficulty concentrating. So if you see a client that is maybe not staying on topic, or they are talking about something unrelated, or that appears to be unrelated to what you're working on, or they might be getting lost in emotion over and over and over again, right? But we're not. So what am I going to ask in those when I see those kind of things come up, right? I'm going to ask, what about what they're bringing up is important?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask what it is that they're feeling. I'm going to ask if what they are bringing up is important or relevant to what we're working on, or how it is relevant.
Yeah, I would probably ask how it is.
Yeah,
because you're at least giving them, the benefit of the doubt. Like, okay, I'm not going to assume this isn't or is. Let's just ask how, and then maybe they'll come up with their own conclusion. This isn't relevant. I'm just thinking about it a lot.
So for our next example, let's say we have a client that is fixating on worst case scenarios. What do we ask in those situations?
I mean, I think you could ask any of those. You can ask, how does that serve you? Those thoughts, how does that serve you?
One thing I've asked a client before when they brought up I asked them, like, what because we were going over best case scenarios, worst case scenarios, things like that. And I asked them, well, what would you do if this worst case scenario happened?
Yeah.
And they haven't thought about that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and that caused them to
Finish the thought.
consider,
Or-
what would they actually do and how would they actually respond? And it didn't turn out so
Mhm.
bad when they
Yeah.
thought it through.
Mhm.
The other thing too, if they're fixating on the worst case, like this is going to go wrong, this isn't going to happen, I would ask, well, what happens if it goes right?
Mhm.
Or
Sure.
why is it? What about it going wrong is important?
Yeah.
Here's an interesting question. Can you overthink in the other direction? Can you overthink about the positives or successes or like, I'm just so excited about this idea. I can't stop
that
thinking of
becomes
anything else.
Oh no, I think
Like
it becomes
daydreaming.
excitement at that point. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course you can, but I don't think that that's necessarily a negative thing. Like it's not something.
Mhm.
we
It's
have
not
to
causing
work-
distress.
Yeah.
Which
Maybe it's causing distraction, but
I have overthought to the point where it distracts me from other things that I should probably be doing or
Mhm.
just not even considering because it's so outlandishly, out of it's so unlikely to happen. Like I'll overthink about winning the lottery sometimes. If it's like $1 billion Mega Millions and I buy one lottery ticket, then all of a sudden I'm imagining like, what would I do if I
Winning.
won
Yeah.
this? Yeah, how would I change my life? And I'm just overthinking a situation that is most likely never going to happen. And my thoughts and my money are probably better spent doing other things.
it's so
Before
funny.
anybody
Like
tells me not to, I only buy lottery tickets when it gets over $1 billion.
I find
Tell me
that
they're not buying.
I find that very kind of endearing, because like I can fantasize, right, about things or like, get lost in that kind of stuff, but not, it's always within the realm of my capability, right? Like I'm always like, I get excited about something that is going to probably definitely happen or I'm definitely capable of making happen. And then like making a plan to like, otherwise I don't think about it very much because I don't know. I just don't like my daydreaming is rooted in reality. It like very much in reality, which is interesting.
I think it's good to. I think this is the way in which you can overthink in that direction. Like, let's take coaching for example, where like and we talk about like a SMART goal. Like, it needs to be relevant. It needs to be attainable. Like, sometimes the goals that people set for themselves as entrepreneurs are so out of proportion. Like, and so unattainable from the start. Like you need to focus on the small attainable actions
Mhm.
to work up to those moments. Like if my goal and my thought process was like, I want to be the next Tony Robbins, I want to be the next superstar coach, and that's all I can think about doing, I'm not thinking about the steps on how to get there or what I can do right now to make myself successful for that.
Like if I wanted to win the lottery, I would have to sit down and do the math on how many lottery tickets I needed to buy in order to, basically swing the pendulum so far in my direction that I was very likely to win enough money. And how much money would I have to spend to do that? And how am I going to get that money? Like that's how my brain, which is how I work.
Which let's take this to the extreme. Like let's say somebody has a gambling addiction, which I've worked at a casino. I've seen this happen.
Yeah.
People overthink, their odds of success in regards to like winning against the house, and they waste so much time and so much money thinking in this positive direction that they don't consider the actual time and money they have wasted and could have been spent doing something that was beneficial to them and far more productive. So you can overthink in either direction. It's not just like I'm stuck in a negative thought process. You can be the complete opposite and overthinking and overestimating, your success or abilities.
I would like to take this back to how we can help our clients and how what the questions we can ask when we see these things coming up, because I think that's very productive. We just covered the focus or the worst case scenarios. Focusing on negative thoughts, I think that's kind of a similar to worst case scenario. But something you'll find, I think all of our clients do focus on negative thoughts. I think about coaching sessions I've had with Jen, and like a lot of what we're talking about is that negative inner dialogue. And it's just sort of discussing and working through that, which is interesting because that is a bit of overthinking going on. So how do we, I mean, like how might that appear, and what might we ask as a coach in those spaces?
I mean, this to me is about what you're noticing, and then sharing without attachment what you're noticing, and then asking, what does that mean to you? Or what can you say about that? Like, again, not having any attachment to, I noticed that when we talk about this topic, you tend to use words like, and then you list them and they're all negative words. Again, you don't put any labels on it. You just share like factual data that you notice, and then you ask them about it. That's typically, I mean, in this overthinking space where I would lean. What does everyone else think, though?
Great. I don't think we need to overthink that. I think that's fantastic. Good.
We could just summarize this whole conversations with don't. Just don't overthink.
Let's not overthink any of it.
But don't we think a client, I don't know, to me it just seems so normal and so part of the process for the client to come in and be overthinking. That to me is when it's important to meet that with non-judgment, full acceptance, and show them that it's a safe space, that there's no judgment in that state of being, essentially, and not make it a problem unless the client directly says, hey, I need to work on overthinking. I mean, I'm not going to tell a client, hey, you're overthinking, we need to work on that. The client would have to tell me that they think they're overthinking and bring it up as like, hey, this was something I want to work on.
Probably an appropriate question to ask too is like, what is the correct amount of thinking? Like, what does the correct amount of thinking look like to you? We've established already that you feel like you're overthinking. Okay. What's the correct amount of thinking? And what's underthinking?
Right. What's the amount of thinking that you would like to be experiencing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes it's part of people's nature, and it's a pattern that will continue to show up, and just giving them a safe space to be met without judgment could soften it, because no one else is probably giving them that space.
And being able to reflect back what they're saying and ask them what they're noticing.
Yeah.
Then they will label it, and then we can fly with their terminology.
Exactly.
Just to add a final
reflective inquiry
touch to this, sometimes you as the coach and the coach and the client relationship cannot fix overthinking in some cases, no matter what you do, because sometimes it's from anxiety, or depression, or some other psychological thing that is going on, or psychiatric as well, not just psychological, that you just simply cannot address. And the client needs the help of a different sort of professional to address that problem.
Watch our video on when to refer out before we go down this route.
Because there's a general level of overthinking that probably everybody does, and then there's overthinking that is a symptom of a different issue. And while a coach can work in conjunction with that, and maybe the client wants to figure out ways to manage it and get around it to work towards a goal, sometimes if the client wants to fix the overthinking, you can't just focus on the symptom. You have to get to the root of a problem, which is a different profession. So just don't overthink it too much as a coach as well. Sometimes you just have to let the issue pass on by, let somebody else more capable of handling it, and work on what you can as a coach.
We should count the amount of times we said overthink in this episode.
Yeah, that's always fun in the blog when I keep on writing the subject of the blog inside of it. What's some synonyms for overthinking?
I
Oh,
like
put that in there.
ruminating. Lisa said that earlier. I think that's a fair word.
Overcooking your thoughts.
Over analyzing.
I had a list in there that I provided us, but I can't tell you.
Backtracking.
I also want to share a good tool before we sign off here, because we only have a few minutes left. So we can kind of go to final thoughts. Thinking, and maybe you guys can give a solution to this, but I guess my tip for maybe identifying overthinking and like knowing the difference between what we might say, productive thoughts and unproductive thoughts, is for me like that question of what am I in control of becomes so important. So like asking yourself something like, am I good enough? Am I an imposter? Will I make it? Am I doing this, or am I doing the right thing? Like those kind of questions are not smart questions. They are not questions like we have our SMART goals. Those are not smart questions because they are not specific. They are not measurable. They are probably not answerable, and they might be relevant, feel relevant, but they are. I mean, really, I don't know how relevant they are ultimately to whatever it is you're ruminating on. And then I don't remember timely. I can't give you the tea. They might be timely. They're not though, because you're
It's timely.
overthinking. You're rethinking. So changing questions from that are these like big open-ended, impossible to answer, almost internally philosophical questions to questions that are set in a more real world situation and concrete situation that you can actually answer. What am I in control of? What can I do to change this? Start to, instead of thinking in a space of where you can't answer those questions, start to ask yourself questions that you can answer, and you can be productive and start to do some of the whatever that might be. So that I think is a big and very helpful part of just sort of maybe shifting the overthinking thought process a bit. For me, now for Jen, it might be just accepting that overthinking person, right?
Well, also, I like what's true, what's not true. So like with the bomb on the airplane, it's like, well, what's true about that? Yes, this guy could have a bomb, but like the likeliness of that is so low, Jen. So what's not true about that? He's going to come out of the bathroom just like everyone else comes out of the bathroom. It's me fine. Chill out. You're good. So I usually
dropped a bomb
do.
in the bathroom.
He might have planted a bomb in the bathroom.
No, I said he might have dropped a bomb in that.
That's much more
what I
likely, for sure. But yeah, what's true, what's not true, just getting more clarity, like you said, taking that big question and like narrowing it and getting some real substance out of it.
Yeah. You guys are talking, I think, mental maintenance. I dropped it earlier, but I think really, I don't know if overthinking is overall curable, but I think it is something that you can manage. And I think really it helps tremendously. Just step outside, put your feet in some grass.
Touch grass, people. Touch grass.
Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, if you stay in the same spot that you're overthinking in, it's kind of like the definition of being psychotic. You keep doing the same thing over and over again and thinking things are going to change. It's a little bit psychiatric. So step outside, go for a walk, go to the gym.
Change your environment, move.
Also, say it out loud too. Say it out loud to somebody. Because we can.
Yeah, that's
find a code.
Yeah. That's why we vent, right? We're saying it out loud.
Say it out loud to someone. Takes the power out of it. That's for sure. All right, we're out of time, folks. We talked a lot about overthinking.
Take a Xanax, have a beer, just relax.
Oh my God!
No,
Don't
do not
that.
do that. That is a bad
Also, don't do that.
combination.
Yeah, don't. That is not endorsed
not
by
for-
CLCI or any doctor.
Oh my God.
Don't
Alright.
do that.
I hope
That's
no one
not
ever
good.
sees this live.
Jerome.
We are going to talk about our advanced education still. That's still going on, everybody.
It's
So
just,
be on the lookout for that. Guys, go ahead and check out
Only a few
our
weeks
website.
left.
Yeah, only a few weeks. It's actually going a lot faster than I expected to. That's probably because we
Mhm.
just went on break. But
Mhm.
yeah, save $200 off classes, valid through July 29th. Use that code that you guys see down there, advance 200, to get 200 off of your guys' classes.
What's significant about July 29th?
Ooh.
it's Lisa's birthday.
Oh.
Oh, Lisa's birthday.
Yes. Wow.
July 29th. What? We got like 2 more weeks until that, Lisa. All right, pump your brakes.
And it's Jen's birthday coming up too.
When's Jen's
That's
birthday?
Yeah, we're birthday month.
It's
19?
still too early to announce that either. We can wait till next
Jen's is
Tuesday
next
for Jen.
Mine is
Yeah.
next week.
Yeah.
Hers is
Next
coming up.
Tuesday, you can announce that, and then the following Tuesday, Lisa can announce it. Okay, we're getting a little too excited for our birthdays.
I'm out of town next week, but we're still doing our live next week at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We will have another self-sabotage conversation. These fine folks are gonna head that one up without me. You're in good hands.
Have we chosen a topic for that, or am I?
You guys choose. You get to choose,
Okay.
or I can choose one for you before.
Nope.
I mean, you decide.
Okay, you will. We will
Okay.
handle it. You're in
Okay.
good hands.
Well,
Trust us.
We will not overthink it either.
Neither will I.
I promise
not
to
gonna be
not
like-
give medicinal advice. I
Yes.
absolutely promise I will not make a fool of
We
myself.
probably shouldn't let Anthony
Oh
choose.
my
Just saying.
gosh.
Okay.
All right,
All
that's
right,
enough.
guys, thank you so much.
Bye.
next-
Bye.
Like, share,